Good evening. You're watching the news at 6. I'm Ishan Russell, and these are the headlines that we're tracking right now. Central government to auction 69 small oil and gas fields taken from ONGC and Oil India. New revenue sharing model to ensure marketing freedom to operators. Market sentiments remain depressed for the third day in a row. Sensex loses over 243 points. Millions of workers go on a 24-hour strike to protest proposed changes in labour laws and privatisation. Transport and banking operations affected in many cities. Three-day RSS meet with BJP leaders starts in Delhi. NDA government asked to form commission to decide on one rank, one pension scheme soon. And the migrant crisis peaks in the European Union. Hungary stops train services as thousands of people gather at its border stations. A top story this evening. The cabinet today approved a landmark change in India's hydrocarbons exploration regime, sanctioning the auction of 69 small and marginal oil and gas fields of ONGC and Oil India Limited. It will now be given to private firms on a new revenue sharing model, offering the operators full freedom to market as well as price their own products.
In a significant decision for the oil and gas sector, Union Cabinet has approved a paradigm shift in the revenue sharing model. 69 oil fields in which production is yet to begin will be clubbed into clusters and offered for bidding within 3 months based on the new formula.
इसकी जो फार्मूला हम लोगों ने बनाई है, मार्केट प्राइस जो भी हो, रेवेन्यू शेयरिंग और रॉयल्टी डिडक्शन ऑयल के बारे में उस समय की जो प्राइस ऑफ द डे रहेगी ऑयल की, that will be the benchmark.
The government has also approved a unified licensing regime for operators to produce hydrocarbons in auction for 69 small and marginal oil fields.
हम सिंगल लाइसेंस या यूनिफाइड लाइसेंस पॉलिसी लाया है, जिसमें कन्वेंशनल हाइड्रोकार्बन, अनकन्वेंशनल हाइड्रोकार्बन, ऑयल, गैस, शेल ऑयल, सीबीएम, कोई एक फील्ड में सारा चीज या 2, 3, 4 चीज उसमें मिलती है, सारा उत्पादक प्रोड्यूस को वो उत्पादन कर सकता है, उसको एक ही लाइसेंस की अथॉरिटी उसको मिल रही है.
The government is going for a simple revenue sharing regime by introducing a new method. Earlier, companies used to get blocks by bidding maximum work program. They used to recover their investment before sharing profits with the government. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's go across to our correspondent Vishal there, who will help us understand as far as this decision is concerned. Vishal, a pretty significant one, given the fact that especially the oil reserves and the exploration of those same have been quite controversial subjects. So how's the government playing this out? What's the government's strategy? What's the politics behind this entire decision?
Well, Ishan, if you look at the petroleum sector, then there are two important factors out here. One is the way in which the prices of both gas and oil is finalized, and that formula which is applied internationally, that is something which then finally becomes the basis of how the revenue sharing will happen. Now, what the government plans to do, or rather intends to do, by bringing in this paradigm shift in the revenue sharing regime in allocation of oil and gas wells, is to try and ensure that the government's interests are protected in the longer term. One. Two, what the government is saying is that there were at least, or rather are also 116, oil fields in which the production is not happening. Now, those 69 which the government says will be auctioned are out of those 116 oil fields. As per the government estimates, At least 70,000 crore rupees is the cost of the resources which have been spent on these 69 oil fields. So the government intends to recover that cost and in the long run increase its revenue as well in terms of royalty as well as revenue through the new formula, because the new formula says that the revenue sharing for the revenue sharing the minimum benchmark will be the price of the oil or gas on that particular day, and that minimum benchmark will have to be followed in all both in oil and gas as well, and irrespective of the fact whether or not the producing company sells it at a lower cost, they will have to give the government's revenue share and the royalty share based on that day's market price.
All right, Vishal, we'll leave it over there, but thank you very much for that update. And staying on with a related story, now normal life is quite badly hit as a strike called by 10 trade unions was enforced on Wednesday. The strike was called against the changes in labour laws and the privatizations of public sector units. Besides public transport, financial services were also hit as ranks of bank and insurance employees joined the strike.
A one-day strike called by trade unions has crippled an entire nation. Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Chennai, Bengaluru, Trivandrum, to name just a few, felt the effects and reeled under them.
It is because of the people are totally dissatisfied against the anti-worker policy of the government. It is a protest against labour reform. It is a protest against inflation. It is a demand for minimum wage of 15,000 and pension for all and social security for all.
हमने समझाने का कोशिश किया जो उनकी मौलिक बात था, विशेष करके मिनिमम वेज के बारे में, सोशल सिक्योरिटी के बारे में, एडहेरेंस ऑफ एग्जिस्टिंग लेबर लॉ के बारे में, बोनस के बारे में, सारा विषय में स्पष्ट समाधान हमने सरकार की ओर से लाया। हमने ट्रेड यूनियन के मित्रों को समझाने का कोशिश किया, कई मित्रों ने उसको समझ के आज की स्ट्राइक से बाहरी रहे, लेकिन मेरे पास जो खबरें हैं अभी, देश के कामकाज स्वाभाविक है, नियंत्रित है।
In Delhi, autos and taxis stayed off the roads, easing road traffic a bit, but resulting in crowded buses and metros. Operations at the Mumbai Port Trust were severely hit, even though cargo handling at the country's largest container port, JNPT, across the harbour was only partially affected. Transport services, however, remained unaffected in Mumbai as local train, auto rickshaws and best city buses operated normally. The common man suffered as public transport stayed off the roads. Kolkata saw clashes between members of trade unions and the police. Streets wore a deserted look as shops remained closed. CITU members protested across the city demanding pro-worker reforms.
हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री ने जिस तरह से लोगों से वादा किया था कि अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं, आज उस हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि उसके खिलाफ हो जा रहे हैं। किसी तरह का हम लोगों का जो श्रमिक भाई लोग हैं किसी तरह का सुविधा नहीं पा रहे हैं। आज हम लोगों का छोटा सा दाबी है कि इतना महंगाई के दौर में कम से कम 15,000 रुपया होना चाहिए, उस जगह पे वो लोग कुछ उसको संशोधन नहीं करना चाह रहे हैं।
कोई बस ऑटो कुछ भी नहीं मिल रहा है, ऑटोस जा रहे हैं पर बहुत कम है और बस भी एक दो ही मिल रही थी। मैं घर से बहुत जल्दी निकली फिर भी मुझे कुछ भी नहीं मिला, बहुत टाइम लगाने के लिए एंड लेट भी हो गई मैं।
Trade union members also blocked railway tracks in several cities. The scene was the same in almost all the cities across the country. Financial services were also affected, even as the unions in State Bank of India and the Indian Overseas Bank are not participating in the strike. The trade unions have a 12-point charter of demands, including withdrawal of the proposed anti-worker amendments in labour laws and stopping the disinvestment and privatisation of PSUs. ASSOCHAM estimates
All right, so that was the focus story, and we have with us Nirotpal Basu, Central Committee member of the CPM. Now, remember, the CPM-backed trade unions are, of course, spearheading the strike. Mr. Basu, very quickly, first, let's understand the need, because as our package and our little story over there did tell us that a lot of public has been inconvenienced as well across various parts of the country. So why is it this necessary for the trade unions to go on strike? What are they demanding? And the government also, we heard over there saying that they have come out with proposals. They have come to the negotiation table, and it's up to really the trade unions now to decide.
You see, the test of the pudding is in its eating. The unprecedented scale of the strike underlines the fact that there is a lot of pent-up emotions within the workers. Actually, what the government is claiming is a travesty of truth. If you carefully read the statement of the Labour Minister, it will become clear. There were several issues of minimum wage for unskilled workers, and as you know that in the employment side, today 94% are either unorganized or they are in the contractual appointment or they are apprentices. So they are bereft with any social security, and the kind of conditions we have seen over the last 1.5 years, they voted in a manner where they wanted to have a change from the earlier regime.
Okay.
But what they have found out to their total horror, that change there is indeed but more adverse, and the real trigger was the initiated labor reforms by the government, where the government was not only not conceding their earlier unsettled issues, but they were in a way attacking the entire regime of labor, and by increasing the number of workers that can get the benefits and all that, they are actually making 70% of the worker go out of the legal safeguard of the established laws of the land.
All right, so you're saying that as far as the government is concerned, the government really needs to come back with solutions, because this is a large mass of the populace that had voted for the government. But the issues that we're talking about over here, of course, being reflected on the streets as well. And in terms of what happened in Calcutta, or Kolkata rather, where the police and the trade unions clashed, elsewhere across the country also, it was pretty relatively peaceful. But it is simmering discontent that is coming to the fore, isn't it?
Absolutely, but what has happened in West Bengal is a little bizarre, because it was a strike called by the trade unions, and there was a trade union charter which was for the central government against its policies. But why the state government came into play and took it as a sort of crusade against the workers, one doesn't understand.
Okay.
Today, the ruling party goons have acted in concert with the people in uniform and attacked the cadre, trade union cadre of opposition political parties which were supporting the strike.
All right.
Therefore, I think there is a deeper significance in this. The dependence that the West Bengal government has developed in the last few months can only explain this kind of bizarre situation.
All right, but as far as the unity of the trade unions is concerned, now that is irrespective of political affiliation on matters such as this. As far as labour reform are concerned, trade unions have pretty much been on the same boat across political lines. And now this time around, it certainly seems a little bit different. And given the fact that you're also saying it's more simmering discontent rather than particular issues, do you think that as far as the trade union unity goes from here on, we could see a very changed scenario?
You see, apparently on the surface at the level of the leadership, yes, there has been some setback, but it is again very strange, because BMS was very much part of this united struggle till the very last moment. And the issues on which the workers have gone to strike are issues which have been unanimously decided across the board, of which BMS was also a part. And on the question of labour reforms, this is something which is an additional demand because of the new initiative of the Modi government.
Right.
Therefore, in spite of that, since they had been there and the strike was decided as early as in May itself, therefore it is really again inexplicable why BMS worked out. But the good thing is that our report suggests that on the ground, workers who are otherwise affiliated to BMS unions, they have continued to remain as part of the struggle.
Oh, very quickly, just in a couple of lines, this was a 24-hour strike. Can we expect more agitation from the trade unions as far as...
It will largely depend on the government, because the government has to understand the message that the workers have given today on the streets. There are issues on which the government has to concede the ground, on the basis of which I think the negotiating process should be really brought back to the rails, because these are not political demands, but issues which are so vital to the life and livelihood of the working people.
All right, on that note, we'll have to wrap it up. But Mr. Nilothwal Basu, thank you very much for coming in and helping us understand this issue a little better. And moving on now, despite the government's decision to waive tax on foreign investors, it failed to lift market sentiments today. In fact, the Sensex extended its losing streak to 3 days this week today by losing over 200 points. Both the Sensex and the Nifty came under heavy selling pressure today as well.
Weak economic data from China, coupled with the possibility of a rate hike in the US later this month, has triggered a fresh round of sell-off in global markets. That had its impact on the Indian stock markets as well. After heavy losses on Tuesday, Sensex lost another 243 points amid heavy selling. Nifty too lost close to 70 points, inching towards the 7,000 mark. The fall comes despite the government accepting the Shah panel's recommendation to waive minimum alternate tax for foreign investors. A dull day at the Asian markets also contributed to the slump.
As of now, today the markets are flat, Asian markets are flat. So, as I said, they are waiting. The market is in the waiting. They're looking for some kind of trigger, which hopefully will come.
Less than expected GDP figures on Monday also weighed heavily on the markets. The government is banking on reforms to increase the pace of economic recovery.
I don't really know how it will, I can't be very firm about, how the economy will evolve. But we certainly think that the combination of, oil price decreases, commodity price decreases, the fact of macroeconomic stability, the fact of the reforms, the fact that, inflation is down and interest rates have come down. I think all of these should contribute to annual growth along the lines that, we've been saying might happen in the economic survey.
On Tuesday, IMF chief Christine Lagarde said global growth is likely to be weaker than expected due to a slower recovery in advanced economies and a further slowdown in emerging nations. Her comments come less than 2 months after IMF had downgraded its outlook for global growth. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time for a very quick break right now. Coming up on the other side is the first sentencing in the 2010 CWG scam. 6 people, including MCD officials, handed jail terms. More on that on the other side.
Bands and hartals, striking work to press demands. Today, many trade unions have called a shutdown. What are their demands and how has the government responded? Watch the big picture at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Here watching the news at 6. Now, a 3-day meet of the RSS and its affiliates began in Delhi today. Top ministers and BJP leaders are part of the crucial meet as they brainstorm over key social and economic issues and also issues confronting the Modi government. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also expected to attend the meeting. Besides BJP chief Amit Shah, Union Ministers Arun Jaitley, Sushma Swaraj, Manohar Parrikar, Nitin Gadkari, Venkaiah Naidu, Anand Kumar, JP Nadda were also present at the meet. The major issues on the agenda include census figures, OROP, the Patel agitation in Gujarat, land bill, labour reforms and the education policy. Even though the meet is being seen as the Modi government's appraisal, the RSS maintains that it is not meant to review the performance or take a decision. The meeting, they say, is only to exchange notes and deliberate over inputs provided by the participants.
On broad national issues, there will be exchange of views, exchange of notes among various Parivar organizations, leaders of which are present in the Baitak. It is about how we should move ahead into the future. It's not about any review of the government or any policies or programs.
In the first sentencing in the 2010 CWG scam case, 6 officials have been handed jail terms by a Delhi court today. The sentencing was related to the CWG street lighting scam case, which had cost a loss of 1.4 crore rupees to the exchequer. Among those sentenced are 4 MCD officials who have been given a 4-year jail term each. A director of a private firm was also given a 4-year jail term. The 5 convicts are charged with offences like criminal conspiracy, cheating and using forged documents as genuine. The court also jailed the private firm's managing director for 6 years, who was charged under the Prevention of Corruption Act.
The penalty has been given by the court. So whatever the court has considered it appropriate, that has been given. We can only challenge that in appeal. We have to move in appeal and seek and pray from the court that their sentence be suspended till the time appeal is heard by the Honorable High Court.
A curfew remains imposed in violence-hit Manipur. Heavily armed state and central forces are patrolling the streets in Churchandpur district as the situation remains tense there. In fact, reports suggest that the legalized border trade in the state is still paralyzed as tribal students have imposed an indefinite blockade. Violent clashes broke out in the district on Monday night after the state assembly passed 3 land bills allowing land access to non-tribals. 8 people have been killed in the violence so far. Time now to take a look at all the other national news and updates nationwide. A Jawan and a militant were killed in an encounter in Jammu and Kashmir today. The encounter between security forces and the militants in Rafiabad lasted about 9 hours. The militants opened fire on the security forces when they were conducting a search operation in the area. The slain militant is reportedly a member of the Hizbul Mujahideen. At least 82 students fell sick due to suspected food poisoning after consuming midday meal at a government school in Lucknow. This is the second such incident of students falling ill after eating midday meal in the state capital in the last 1 month. Food samples have been collected from the school for lab testing. A special CBI court has deferred hearing on the former Jharkhand Chief Minister Madhu Kora's plea in the coal scam case. Kora sought summoning of former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and 2 others as additional accused in the coal scam case. Former MP Naveen Jindal, former Coal Secretary H.C. Gupta and 12 others were charged sheeted by the CBI in the case as well. Some international news now, and the European Union migrant crisis has worsened as hundreds of stranded migrants protested outside the major railway stations in the Hungarian capital of Budapest after police forces sealed off the terminal to stop them on Tuesday. Meanwhile, in Greece, there is a huge surge in migrant influx. 2 ships carrying over 4,200 people have reached the Greek mainland.
Chaotic scenes at the Kalati train station in Budapest. Stranded migrants chanting slogans demanding to be allowed to travel to Germany.
At first Germany. Why? Because it helps more than other countries. They don't care about fingerprints of Hungary.
Hungarian officials cut off train services to the migrants on Tuesday, allowing a train load of undocumented migrants to leave for Germany on Monday against the European Union rules. European countries meanwhile remain bitterly divided over how to handle the unprecedented influx.
Ellentétesen viselkednek a bevándorlási kihívások kezelésének tekintetében, hiszen világossá vált, hogy a kötelező kvótára épülő politika megbukott, mert az csak biztatást jelent az embercsempészeknek és a bevándorlóknak, hogy minél többen jöjjenek.
The situation is grim in Greece as well. Thousands of migrants from Syria and Iraq has arrived in mainland, even as the Greek government is preparing for talks to tackle the crisis.
And I wish the UN and other independent organizations provide the help to these countries to support us.
In Italy, nearly 150 migrants have reached the Sicilian port after being rescued from the Mediterranean. Another 700 migrants were rescued by Norwegia and the Italian Navy. Ahead of the European Union talks slated for September 14th, the crisis is spiraling out of control. At least 11 migrants were reportedly killed and 5 went missing after 2 boats sailing to a Greek island sank off near Turkey. Normal life was affected in London as migrants blocked tracks leading to the tunnel under English Channel. Hundreds of passengers were stranded for hours on 5 Eurostar high-speed trains. Under the Dublin regulation, refugees should seek asylum in the first European Union country they enter. However, Italy and Greece say they cannot cope with the migrants as both countries have become a major landing point. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On Thursday, China's Tiananmen Square will see a display of military might. The parade to commemorate China's Second World War victory over Japan 70 years ago will display the latest and the most sophisticated weapons, but the Western nations are not impressed. Let's take a look why.
Preparations for China's first military parade to celebrate the victory of Second World War. The unprecedented show of military might in Beijing will feature 12,000 troops, 200 fighter jets and 500 pieces of the latest weaponry. 84% will be shown to the public for the first time. 10,000 Chinese People Liberation Army troops and 1,000 honor guards from 17 foreign countries will take part. President Xi Jinping will watch it from the viewing stands at Tiananmen Square along with Russian President Vladimir Putin, South Korean President Park Geun-hye and UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon.
That a military parade at the end of a war, such as the one in World War II, is important for the recognition of those who participated in that conflict, who left their families, and some who never came back.
The whole world is now commemorating the 70th anniversary of ending of the Second World War. It's important to look to the past, what kind of lessons we have been learning and how we can move ahead to a brighter future based on the lessons learned.
Beijing will be in lockdown on Thursday for what will now be a new national holiday. Flights are cancelled for the parade's duration and broadcasters will not air entertainment programs. Hundreds of factories are shut to ensure clear, smog-free skies, while monkeys, falcons and dogs will be on watch to scare away birds.
肯定会有，因为就是包括对于车辆的限行啊，一些单双号啊，对于这一些工作路上的影响肯定还是会有。但是它提前通知，包括之前也有一些经验吧，以前也有过这种的政策出来，所以整体还OK。
Experts are questioning the timing of the parade. Its narrative of historical humiliation by colonial powers comes at a time of disputes over territorial rights in East and South China Seas. Moreover, the Communist Party is grappling with a stock market slump and a slowdown that could spur social unrest. The US is miffed as no Western leaders are attending the event. It is also uneasy about the demonization of Japan. The parade is showcasing the DF-21D ballistic missile. Dubbed the carrier killer, it has the potential to be used against the United States. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some sports now, and the second day of the US Open tournament saw the exodus of top women's seeds in the opening round. In fact, joining the women's casualty list in the US Open, Lucy Safarova became the fourth top 10 player to lose in the first round. The 60-year Czech left-hander slipped to a 6-4, 6-1 defeat to Ukraine's Lesia Surenko. Safarova joined Anna Ivanovic, Karolina Silkova and Carola Suez and Navarro in this list of first-round upsets. However, world number 2 Simona Halep reached the second round. She led 6-2, 3-0 when her rival called quits over a knee injury. In the men's draw, Britain's Andy Murray won a pulsating match against Australian Nick Kyrgios to reach the second round. Murray took 4 sets to win the match. Roger Federer also advanced to the second round, beating Leonardo Meyer in 3 sets. Stan Wawrinka also made it through to the second round after defeating Spain's Albert Ramos Vinolas. Well, that's all from us. Goodbye.